that's kind of like what I expect here. Like, these overall like boom cycles are going to be shorter, but alternatively, the bust cycles as well are also going to be shorter. So
Generally, when you're kind of sifting through, the thousands of altcoins, what are you looking for?
If you consider it late cycle, is there a certain strategy that you have? Like, how do you think about where we are versus how you're managing your capital? Welcome back to The Roll Up. We are your hosts. I'm Andy.
I'm Robbie, and this is your home to learn from the biggest guests, the brightest minds at the tip of innovation.
Our goal is to help spread the collective knowledge of everyone in our community.
We are breaking crypto out of its echo chamber and taking it to the real world.
What a last couple of days with this, or last 24 hours with this Yeezy launch. I know Sherpa saw my news breaking tweet. Breaking Yeezy, 200 mil to 2 bill. Sherpa, I saw your post about it, man. You said you called it a lose-lose. You just kind of felt like the market brushed it off. Like, I've seen this before. It's not interesting, which is crazy, right? Compared to how Trump was basically just pumped. But it was a different environment then too.
Totally different environment. And then also like, people kind of knew about the Yeezy coin before. People knew that he was going to like sell his Twitter account. Like, this was kind of a known event, much different than Trump. And also Trump is just obviously way higher tier than Yeezy. And I think that people also just knew that, it's like probably the same teams behind Libra and like, the same type of like overall like, dynamics behind it. And like people like, fool me once, shame on me type of thing. But yeah, I was happy to see that like people didn't like the majority, like it wasn't as bad as Libra, from what I saw. And I didn't think it was going to be either, just looking at the group chats last night, when I was looking at it live.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's kind of a zero already. Like, I don't think it's going to have another run to 10 bill or anything. I wouldn't be buying it. I don't know, though. I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but I don't think that I don't think it's got a 10 bill push in it, but it very well could. I mean, I don't know.
Unless there's some real online money, some new economy, like his claims really stack up to be true, which are pretty unlikely at this point.
No, I agree with you too, Andy. I don't think either. I mean, you need either like one of two things to happen. Either one, like all crypto native people just to full port like they did for Trump and just like sell everything and just buy that, and all that liquidity just goes into Kanye coin, or you need a lot of outside money to come in order to like prop that price up. And I don't see either of those happening personally.
Yeah. Sure, but do you think this is pretty accurate and consistent with where we are in the cycle? Like, is this a top signal relative to some of the other things we're seeing, or is this kind of out of place? What do you think?
I don't think it's really a top signal. I think it's kind of a I don't know. I think it's pretty much a non-event personally, like because like it might have been a top signal if like you saw lots of money pile in there, but I mean, as I said, like as we already talked about, it's a pretty non-event. This is an event that we've all kind of known about, or we've like heard about for months now. It's like pretty known. And the fact that also that the market wisened up quite a bit, like there wasn't like nearly as much damage from what I saw on Yeezy as there was Libra, right, and some of the other big ones. I don't personally think it's like a top event.
And so as a kind of temp check on the market, is this indicative that like there's really not the fear greed index? We're actually not very greedy. The market's not very euphoric right now because we weren't automatically piling into this thing with fervor. Like it kind of shows us that the market isn't as overheated as we thought.
It also just feels like the timeline is like kind of bearish. Like everyone's trying to call the top. Like it's a weird dynamic.
I think it's a weird dynamic because there's only like 5 to 10 good altcoins that are like pumping it at any given time, and the majority of people like aren't hitting those trades unless you're very plugged into the market. You're stuck in like, I don't know, like Tau or something, and like you're just like looking at that bag just do nothing. Whereas some other coins are like pretty active, and those people are pretty vocal. As for what Robbie said, like in terms of like the event of the Yeezy being a kind of temperature check where people aren't really aping into that. No, I don't really agree. I mean, I think that it's just that like Andy said, the environment is much different relative, like today relative to January. On chain itself, like, you really haven't seen too many like huge runners. I mean, there's a lot of seedlings to these coins lately. And that's just a like product of like how much extraction has happened over the last like 6 to 8 months or what have you. Um, where there's just not as much money on chain right now. I mean, will it come back? Probably, it always does in some way, shape, or form. But I mean, I just think that like a lot of the money is just being stuck in either like boring coins like Ethereum or BNB or something, or these other random alts that just aren't moving. Kind of typical alts.
Introducing Extended exclusively on Starknet, a next-gen perps trading platform live today. With 50 plus trading pairs from crypto to TradFi, you get the best experience on chain today. Deposit in the community vault for attractive returns, EMV compatible, and engage in
Unified margin, spot trading.
lending and perps trading. Exclusively live at extended.app on Starknet today.
Yeah, I mean, I've been following this guy, Level 941. I don't know if you've seen him, like the pigeon guy.
Yeah, I think I've seen some of his tweets before. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's been pushing on this idea of like the current environment being like you're in the later stages of a multi-table, no limit Texas Hold'em tournament where, let's say you start with 10 tables, now you're down to 3 tables. You've obviously accumulated a nice stack. And he's saying his strategy for like basically from now until, I would say just throughout the end of the year is like keep a lot of your stash basically safe. So risked off a bit. And then with the remaining stash that you have, he's just going full buying calls, buying memes, just full maximum out on the risk curve as a way to maximize your EV this late in the cycle. I think there's 2 schools of thought right now, which is one is that this is going to end like sooner than we think. Like we get one more really good run here across the board, maybe a pullback, one more run, maybe over the next 30 to 60 days. And it's over before people, earlier than people think, October, let's say. And then there's another school of thought that is like, well, no, this is just going to kind of not have a parabolic blow off. This is going to basically go higher for longer. And it's a different cycle now, institutions, DATs, et cetera. So like, I'm just trying to think about how to think about the current framework of portfolio management, in the late cycle. Like, from your experience, like what are you doing right now, if you consider it late cycle, is there a certain strategy that you have? Like, how do you think about where we are versus how you're managing your capital?
I mean, personally, I think ever since the ETFs, I'm like of the opinion that there's no longer like these insane runs that we had in 2017 and 2021, where it's like pretty much parabolic up only for 2 years, and then it's just like down only for a year, and then chop for a year, and then the cycle just continues. I think that most of that has just been like kind of not necessarily invalidated, but you can also see the price action in the charts where Bitcoin is just kind of consolidated from the majority of 2024, big leg up, and then it moves back down a little bit, then another leg up later. I'm of the opinion that these days, for at least the foreseeable future, we're just going to see these kind of mini cycles where you have like anywhere from 1 to 2 months, 1 to 3 months of good price action, good kind of environment for trading, followed by like anywhere from like 1 to 4 months of chop, depending on the context. So we saw that back in kind of like December ish in 2024, going into the new year of January 25. We saw like that was kind of like the top, so to speak, followed by several months of just downtrend and chop. We didn't really have much fun, for the most part. I mean, sure, there were some pockets here or there, like, maybe like a month or two of nice moves, but as a whole, like, we haven't really seen, the bottom was actually found in like kind of May. So that's kind of like what I expect here. Like, these overall like boom cycles are going to be shorter, but alternatively, the bust cycles as well are also going to be shorter. So like, I generally agree that like, we are at kind of like the tail end of this current run. I mean, it kind of moved like pretty strongly since May, and we had like a little bit chop in between there. It wouldn't surprise me to see like, a little bit more fun, for another few weeks, and then like maybe like a long cooling period for another few months until like maybe like late December. Another big move up, and then we just rinse, wash, repeat. A few months on, like a few months off, basically.
Yeah.
But more months off, generally speaking.
Yeah.
And that's kind of on the time dimension, right? Things are a little
Yeah.
bit shorter. When you're thinking about the price dimension, does that mean that these pullbacks might be less severe because they're happening more frequently?
So I wouldn't necessarily say that. I mean, like there is something to be said about like so much crazy priced like altcoin dilution. There's like one of my favorite charts is the Pepe chart, where if you look at it, Pepe went on strong runs all throughout 2024, where it went up like 10x, then it went down 60%, went up another 3 or 4x from there, down another 60%. Went up another 3 or 4x from there, then down like 80% back, in kind of that January to December period. Went up a few X from there. So like, what I'm trying to say is that I don't really see there being situations where like, an altcoin does like, 30x like it did in 2021 or 10, 15x. Insane numbers, and then like it dies like negative 95%, and then it chops for like another year after that. Like those are extreme cycles, and like to be clear, you can have a view on one altcoin, and a different altcoin is going to be totally different. Like there's several other shit coins that like probably will never like ever move again, and that's just the nature of the shitcoin market, where a lot of these coins just like won't ever really pump. Just there's no organic demand. They're just too old, bad tech, zombie companies in a lot of ways. Yeah. So like, one size does not fit all.
So to be clear, you don't think we've topped. There's probably some more upside left before a shorter but still aggressive period of downturn in some capacity. You're going to have to start to think about these markets as like risk on versus risk off periods within larger cycles, which is obviously up and to the right if you really zoom out. But like from a trader perspective, you still obviously want to be capturing the meat of the move of these risk on periods, and then really trying to avoid a lot of the risk off periods. And I mean, you got to pick your tokens far more strategically than before, right? I mean, we've seen this already.
Yeah, I mean, I generally believe that we are like closer to the end than the beginning for sure. Like we're not like early innings by.
But it's not topped already.
I mean, it could be. I mean, I don't believe so personally. I still think there's going to be like some treasury companies coming onto the market. In September we have rate cuts coming. That's probably already priced in to some degree. I'm not like some sort of macro expert, but like basically what I'm trying to say is that there's still some good coins that will like continue to perform well, but the rest of the market will perpetually just be down only with some small blips here and there. That's just the nature of crypto shit coins.
Are you doing any like angel deals these days, or just fully on the liquid side?
I'm mostly passing on everything. I don't know. And like,
yeah, same here.
Yeah, it's kind of hard, honestly, these days. Like, yeah, like
we kind of had like the heyday in 23, 22. I mean, really, it was like 2020 was the heyday for that.
Yeah, venture investing has definitely gotten like much more, I guess, efficient in some ways.
Yeah. When it comes to kind of picking out, I guess picking winners is the best way to describe it. Not to put you on the spot and like pick any in particular, but in general, like, you said most of these are going to be down to the right with some blips. Are you trying to capture the ones? I guess this is a two-part question. Are you trying to get those blips, or are you trying to pick out the ones that aren't down and to the right and have, some sustainable business model? Generally, when you're kind of sifting through, the thousands of altcoins, what are you looking for?
I generally look for ones that have some sort of attention and don't look like zombies. I mean, everybody has a different trading strategy. Some people there's a lot of different strategies you can use. Some friends like to buy these totally dead ass coins that will have these crazy liquid spikes. They're super liquid. You have to spend a long time accumulating them. and they'll just like buy these shitters and then just like sit on them and then like wait for it to spike like 5x randomly from some like rogue market maker, and then everyone dump, like he'll just like set his limits like
There's so many dead
way high.
coins on centralized exchanges.
Tons of them, yeah. I mean, like, the majority of them are. Like, if you look at the charts of all of them. But to answer your question, no, I'm generally looking at coins that like actually have some life in them, have some volume, have some actual real buying. And you're right. I mean, at the end of the day, like as I said from the like beginning of this kind of little podcast, I guess, in the sense that there's only like 5 or 10 real coins that you can buy at any given time. That's just the nature of this current market environment.
Sherpa, you got any questions for us? I feel like it's just been all us asking it. This takes me back to the old pod that we run.
No, not really. I mean, I guess what do you guys seeing that's like interesting in terms of themes? You guys interview like a lot of different guys from all sectors of crypto. Like, what are people like kind of most like excited about in terms of like the newer themes that we're seeing, like in terms of like where the money's going?
I mean, dude, I think people are really stoked on Hyper EVM, actually, airdrop farming it, and the new protocols there. But man, it's honestly the hardest question to answer, because I do feel like a lot of the interest in the narrative, and I put out a tweet about this, is like this year we've seen so much less narratives or like metas happen. Like in 2024, it was like there was like L2s, it was like modular L2s. Then there was like other infra narratives. Then it was like this crypto AI thing. And then there was, now it's just been like DATs, or who's buying these large amounts of, like, there's been like this revenue narrative, I suppose. But like, it's kind of interesting, because if you ask people like what they're interested in, it's more of like what's hot. And I don't know, there hasn't been like a really hot, like, I mean, I guess we kind of like internet capital markets for a couple weeks there. But dude, it's been a weird year in that we haven't had like the same rotational metas that we're used to, that like you get stoked on something for like a couple months, it passes, then there's something else cool. It's kind of just been like everybody watching how much Sailor is going to be buying. And then now it's like these DATCos. It just, I don't know. It feels like the air has been sucked out of the excitement for like the real coins, if you will, due to like VC stuff, due to just like their price action. I don't know. Yeah, it's a tough question as far as like what's exciting. But I think like people have came on and talked about Hyperliquid, Hyper EVM, and like they've been pretty stoked on it.
I think it's the suits that are excited. Like that's where all the mania is. And I think
the tokenization stuff,
tokenization, RWAs, even the revenue meta appeals to like someone who's going to try to value a crypto company by some traditional cash flow analysis model. That makes sense to them. I think what you're saying, like, that's why it feels like we're late cycle, because there's no nuance anymore. When we're deep cycle, we're in it for the tech. Like we see, oh, this is something kind of cool, something kind of new. And you kind of have these like sector things that tend to outperform and do well for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And then that narrative kind of moves on as there's some fundamental shift.
Yeah.
But it feels like all of that's been blended together. You can't really, there's so many things. The market moves so fast paced. Now it's just the biggest number.
It also just
captures
feels like the
all the
market,
attention. Like
everyone's zoomed in more. Sherpa, I feel like everyone's so like, it wasn't like, I know that you're a trader and you trade on different time frames than like, what we would probably do, but it does just feel like everyone's looking at the charts like a lot more. Maybe I'm just projecting what I'm doing, but it just feels like eyes are on the charts a lot.
Everyone stopped dreaming, and everybody now just believes or sees crypto for what it is.
Which it's a weird setup, man. It's a weird setup. Dude, so what do you think about the Sol underperformance for the last couple months? Do you think that's going to turn around? I know that these DATs are coming. I'm tweeting about them, or at least hearing about them. Is that thing, do you think it's going to turn around? Yeah.
I think the rotation makes sense. I mean, back in the day, the easiest rotation was always Bitcoin to ETH and ETH to Bitcoin. Like you didn't really even have to trade anything else. You could have just held Bitcoin for most of the year, and then you swap it out for ETH at the end of the year, and then like, you swap it back to Bitcoin, and like that was a good way to like accumulate more Bitcoin. At least that's what I used to do back, in 2017, 2018, whatever. But but I would say that like Sol, I mean, it really depends on where your view is in terms of like, overall macro top or market top. Like, if you strongly believe that like, we're pretty much topped, and I'm not saying we're not, like, there's definitely some arguments for that. But there is still going to be a lot more money coming onto the market in September, in my opinion. There's more. We haven't really found like a sailor for Sol, so to speak.
Yeah.
ETH kind of has one now, but like, I don't know. I think Sol should probably catch up. The hard part is the timing of it. We don't really know how to time this type of trade. And yeah, it's a tough call too, because like, if Bitcoin keeps like grinding down, then I don't know if it really matters, because like I think it's just going to pull everything down, regardless of like lots of buying and what have you thereafter from other vehicles or what have you. I still think that if Bitcoin goes down to like 100K or sub 100K, then like these other
we're screwed.
won't be nice.
Yeah. Last thing for you, Sherps. You think these DATs are going to end poorly? I put out a tweet saying that they're going to mark the low of the next bear.
I honestly don't know how it's going to end. I mean, in theory, like it probably should blow up somehow, but I mean,
it is complicated.
I generally, there's a lot of mechanics behind it, like that I actually don't really understand, like well enough. So I mean, like from a theoretical standpoint, it does seem like like this is not very sustainable, like given some of this stuff. But I don't know. Maybe it'll go longer than we think. I don't know.
Yeah, sure, bro. Thanks for your time, man. We'll let you go and keep it up, man. I'll see you in the trenches.
All right. Yeah. Happy to come on anytime too. It was fun.
Thanks, Sherps.
Cheers, brother.
All right, brother.